Hey guys, even though it's July 14th today, I thought what a good day to do my June wrap-up. So it's a little late, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you what I read during the month of June. For some reason, I've been in this like weird reading slump. I read like 6 or 7 books during June, but it just felt like I wasn't reading anything. Let me know if you ever experienced this because it's very strange. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with the first book I read during the month of June, which was called Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I read this on my Kindle. It is a new adult book, but I just like wasn't totally overwhelmed with joy about this book. I mean, it was pretty decent. I read it really quickly, so it was like compelling, but it's about a girl named Tate who meets a guy named Miles who is a pilot. He's a friend of her brother who is also a pilot, and they just have this sort of like tumultuous relationship because he has a really dark past. And I think I'm just really over those new adult romances where the guy has like a really dark secret and he's just like really distant, and the girl has her own issues and they just like don't communicate at all. That's my issue, is that these people in these books don't communicate with each other at all, and it's super frustrating. And I know that's part of the point because it's like romantic tension and drama, but I'm really not in love with it. So I gave Ugly Love 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read during June is Letters of C.S. Lewis. This is the book that I got from the library, but I also bought a copy of it in paperback form. But this is just a book of letters that was edited by C.S. Lewis's brother. If you're a C.S. Lewis fan, you absolutely have to read it. If you're not a C.S. Lewis fan, you probably will think it's boring. It's just sort of like a lot of domestic details about C.S. Lewis and his life and his job and what he's reading and stuff. But if you like that kind of thing, I would highly recommend it because I love C.S. Lewis's writing style. I probably don't need to say anything else about this because you know I'm obsessed with C.S. Lewis, so on to the next book. The next thing I read is I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios. This is a book that I picked out for a giveaway that I won from Sabrina at Steakachino, so thank you again, Sabrina, for giving me this book. This is a book about a girl and a boy who live in this sort of small town in California, I believe, and they both feel like they're kind of stuck there. It's kind of like a dead-end town where no one ever leaves. Skylar has big plans to go to college, and Josh had plans to get out of town as well, but he actually joined the army and he had to come home from that. They just meet and they sort of share this drive to get out of town and to find a better life for themselves. Again, this is another book that I just wasn't totally in love with. I thought that there was a lot of like unnecessary tension, and I just had some issues with the way that people behaved in this book. It wasn't horrible by any means, but I think I just had sort of overly high expectations for it, and it just didn't meet those expectations. The next thing I read this month last month was actually a comic book anthology. I'm wondering if you call this sort of thing a graphic novel or if it's a bind-up of comics. Is it still a graphic novel? I don't know, but this is a set of comics about Hawkeye, who is one of the Avengers. I actually enjoyed this more than most graphic novels. I really usually don't like graphic novels for some reason, and I think one of the reasons I enjoy this is because it's like 6 different stories in this really short set, because I don't know anything about comics, by the way, so this is maybe like duh to everyone else, but these stories are like individual, like short, episodic kind of stories, and I think I just enjoy that format better than a graphic novel where it's like more of a longer story. I'm not going to say much more about this other than if you like comics, I'm assuming you'll like this, and if you don't like graphic novels, try something like this because I ended up enjoying this more than I thought I would. The next book I read this month was for my In Real Life book club. We decided to read Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Rifka Brunt. This is a book about a girl named June who is very, very close to her uncle, and it deals with her struggles after her uncle dies and sort of coming of age with the struggle of that grief and sort of the hole that is left in her life by her absent uncle. And also just the dynamics of her family. She has a sister that she doesn't really get along with. She's struggling in school because she doesn't have a lot of friends. And I don't want to give you like a ton of detail about the plot because I didn't know much about this when I started, and I think that was helpful in just experiencing this story, how it unfolds. But if you would like to know more about this, I'm sure there's like a Goodreads summary or something that's not super spoilery, but I did really like this book. I just thought the writing style of this was quite good. It had a very good way of following sort of a young girl. I believe she's 13 or 14 at the time, but her voice was really good, and just the way that she was looking at things and thinking about life seemed pretty accurate for that age. This is not a young adult book, even though it does feature a young protagonist. It is like just normal adult fiction, so I would definitely recommend this. I know I didn't do a very good job telling you what it's about, but if you're interested at all, I would encourage you to look into it and give it a try. The last book I read this month is a nonfiction book, and it's called Scary Close by Donald Miller. Donald Miller is most famous for his book Blue Like Jazz, which I have not read, but this is a book, the subtitle says Dropping the Act and Finding True Intimacy. The main theme of this book is being authentic and vulnerable with the people who love you, and not putting on a mask or any sort of face in order to try to present yourself in a certain way, and I thought it was very, very good. He is telling it from the perspective of someone who was in a relationship and like engaged to be married, so a lot of it is told sort of through the lens of a romantic relationship, but I got a lot out of it as a single person, and I would definitely recommend this to really everyone. I think he has a lot of good and sort of brave things to say about being yourself, and yeah, it was just a really, really, really good read. It was very short. I believe it's like around 200 pages. Didn't take long at all to read, so definitely check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. I don't know if I would categorize this as like self-help or memoir. It's kind of like a combination of things, because he is giving advice, but he's also just telling a lot of anecdotes about his own life and then sort of using those to teach a lesson. I don't know, you could probably call this self-help, but it was really, really good. So please let me know if you've read any of the books that I showed today. I would love to talk with you in the comments. If you read something that you really, really liked during June, tell me about that, because I'm interested in that, obviously. I'm still in a sort of weird-ish reading slump kind of thing, but I am reading, and I will look forward to seeing you guys with another video sometime soon. Bye!